Okay, everyone. Hello and welcome, I believe, to the last session of the day. I hope you all had a great time at this event, and I am hoping that we close out on a high with the session on Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. So a little bit about me before we begin the session. My name is Reza Dorani. I am a business applications MVP and also a Microsoft certified trainer. I work at a company called Catapult Systems, and I'm based out of Houston, Texas. So the session here is on Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. And why, first of all, what is Dataverse? What is Microsoft Teams? And what is Microsoft Dataverse for Teams? So I'm just going to cover a little bit of highlights first. Of course, everyone here on this call is familiar with Microsoft Teams. We are having this call on Microsoft Teams. Teams in M365 is the hub for teamwork. It allows you to have collaboration. You can chat, you can call, you can have meetings, you can integrate apps, you can extend it, and all of this with enterprise-grade security, compliance, and manageability. Basically, we spend most of our time today in Microsoft Teams. The only key takeaway here with respect to today's topic for me is around integrating apps. Now, integrating apps that are a part of the M365 suite, they fall in naturally into Teams purely because of the authentication and authorization protocols that they follow, which is Azure Active Directory. And even third-party apps are available that you can plug into your Teams. Building apps, though, for citizen developers or power users as for Microsoft Teams is not that straightforward. On the other side, we have the Microsoft Power Platform, which is the one low-code platform that spans across the entire suite of products, M365, D365, Azure, and beyond. And in this platform, there are, of course, these four main pillars: Power BI for analyzing data, Power Apps for quickly building apps for the mobile experiences as well, Power Automate for creating workflow automations, Power Virtual Agents for creating intelligent chatbots. And all of these four pillars provide a low code, no code experience for you to build these different aspects for your business solutions. And the target audience here is the citizen developers or the power users. Now, as part of the Power Platform, the one key area that I want to focus on is the data service that the Power Platform exposes, and that data service is called Microsoft Dataverse. If you've never heard this term before, this used to be called the Common Data Service or the CDS. It has recently been renamed by Microsoft to Microsoft Dataverse. Now, Microsoft Dataverse, formerly known as CDS, is not just a database. It's actually a full data service that provides a lot of intelligent capabilities. From a data standpoint, it allows you to store relational data. It provides you rich data types along with reporting, validations, and modeling. From a logic standpoint, you can create these business rules, you can create business process flows, lookups, calculated columns, and so on and so forth. From a storage standpoint, Microsoft Dataverse is backed up by Azure, and I will show you what the backend looks like in the next slide. It is relational in nature. It is capable of storing files. It is capable of storing images, and at the end of the day, it's an extremely powerful data storage system because it is built for scalability. From an integration standpoint, of course, Microsoft Dataverse is a part of the Power Platform, so it can seamlessly integrate with any other aspect of M365. And then the last part here is security. The security, authentication, authorization, auditing capabilities, once again, all of these capabilities are baked in directly into Microsoft Dataverse, and they can follow the protocols of Azure Active Directory. Now, I did mention that Dataverse is built for scaling, and the reason is because it is backed by Azure. So at the back end, it has a lot of Azure components that it uses without you realizing under the hood, which enables this data service to scale as and when required. It's backed by Azure Blob Storage, Cosmos DB, Search, Data Lakes, Event Hubs, Service Bus, Azure Functions, you name it. It's using the full power of Azure to give you an extremely powerful experience in Microsoft Dataverse, or formerly known as CDS. Now that we've seen what Teams is and what Power Platform is, on the other side now, what Microsoft introduced was something known as Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. This was announced at Ignite 2020. The initial announcement came in at Ignite, and I believe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it went into general availability. Now, what is Microsoft Dataverse for Teams? Microsoft Dataverse for Teams is a built-in low-code data platform for Microsoft Teams. That means you get Microsoft Dataverse, which is a part of the Power Platform. It's the data service. You get this data service that I just spoke about directly in the context of Microsoft Teams. And because you're getting this, you can also then go ahead and build low-code, no-code apps, flows, and chatbots within Teams itself. And what services would you use to build these? Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. So you're getting Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, but you're not getting the full capability of the Microsoft Dataverse product. What you're getting here is a subset of the capabilities, and we will talk about what are the limitations. Microsoft Dataverse as a data service provides relational data storage with rich data types. So you get all of those powers directly in the context of Microsoft Teams. Also, all of this getting you this data service in the context of Teams, working with apps, flows, and bots directly integrated and talking to Microsoft Dataverse or CDS. All of this is included at no additional cost for Microsoft Teams customers. That means it is included as part of your seeded Office 365 licenses. For folks who have ever worked with CDS before, CDS is a premium connector. That means if you need to integrate with CDS in your apps or flows, you need premium licensing. In this scenario, you get CDS or Microsoft Dataverse for Teams now for free within the context of your team, and you do not have to acquire any premium licensing cost whatsoever. For folks who worked with Power Virtual Agents and built chatbots before, Power Virtual Agents requires additional licensing. In this scenario, you get Power Virtual Agents for free within the context of Microsoft Teams. And when I keep saying free, I don't mean free. I mean your seeded Office licenses, your basic Office licenses will cover you for all these costs. You do not have to pay for any premium licensing in the Power Platform. Now, I did mention about you do not get the entire Microsoft Dataverse or CDS experience. And the reason is because, of course, they're giving you this for free. There has to be some catch here. So what are the catches here? Number one, it supports up to 1 million records or 2 GB storage capacity. That means there is a limit to the database that is provided to you in or for your Microsoft team. And that limit is either 1 million rows or 2 GB storage capacity. What happens if I hit these limits? You can upgrade to the full Dataverse option. That means you can go and say, all right, I've hit 2 GB capacity for my Microsoft team. I would like to store more and more data. That means I need more capacity. There is an option that allows you to upgrade from Microsoft Dataverse for Team to the full Microsoft Dataverse experience. But the key thing to note, if you do that, of course, your license scheme will change. So rather than having standard licensing, you would have to pay for the premium licensing model. At the same time, how many teams can have Microsoft Dataverse for Teams created? Is there a limit on that as well? Yes, you can have a maximum of 500 teams for your tenants that can have a Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environment created. And all of this right now that I'm explaining today, everything is generally available. So what are the catches here? 1 million records, 2 GB storage capacity. And at the same time, you have the option to upgrade to the full Dataverse features, but you have to pay for a premium license. And you can only have up to 500 teams in your tenant to have that storage provided. What about security for my artifacts that I build in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams? For example, what about Power Apps? What about Power Automate, Virtual Agent, so on and so forth? So the security protocol in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, look, the naming convention is there for a reason. Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, the focus is on Microsoft Teams. That means the security protocol will follow the protocol of Microsoft Teams. Now, in Microsoft Teams, you can have three types of users: owners, members, and guests. OMG. Owners will have full access to the database. Which database? Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. They will have full access to the database and they can create apps, flows, and bots. Members also have full access and even they can create apps, flows, and bots. Owners and members of whom? Owners and members of the team can do that for that specific team. Guest users will only and only have access to their own records in that database. Okay, so they can only see and interact with their own records. They cannot create apps, they cannot create flows, they cannot create bots. So they cannot create anything. However, they can consume things and they can consume apps. They can use Power Apps in the context of your Microsoft team as a guest user, but they will only have access to their own records. They cannot interact with chatbots purely because the chatbot experience is like a personal app in Microsoft Teams, and guest users do not have those capabilities today. Of course, this may not sound that great. Owners and members having full access. Many a times you come across scenarios wherein you would like to have members. You may have requirements wherein members can only have access to this table. They can only see their own records. They should only be able to modify their own records, basically going down to more sophisticated security protocols. Those kind of options are planned and are coming soon. There was a great session at Ignite wherein they announced what that model looks like. I have been extremely lucky to be involved in the private previews. I've actually seen that live in action. I can tell you this much, that it is extremely powerful and will give you a lot more capabilities than what is available today. Okay, what more features do we have? Well, there's a little more. You can build responsive apps now using the new responsive container controls and screen layouts. So for folks who've been up to date with Power Apps was never built with responsiveness in mind. Specifically, Canvas apps is what I'm talking about here. When you build an app, the app by default is not responsive by design. However, now with some new capabilities, you can make your apps responsive. It's still a lot of work, but you can make your apps responsive. And these responsive containers and controls are also available in Dataverse for Teams when you're building apps in this experience.
Hi, Reza. Sorry to interrupt. If you are sharing the screen, that's gone.
Oh, I'm sharing the screen, that's gone?
Oh, yeah. If you are sharing any presentation, like we are not able to see that now that we were seeing.
It's a little weird. Let me try and share it again. Can you see it now? Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you. Please let me know if ever that happens. Thanks. So I was talking about the responsive containers and controls. They are available in Dataverse for Teams. This is not a feature, but I added this here because many people have this misconception that they can build one app per team, one flow per team. No, you can build multiple apps. You can build multiple flows. You can build multiple bots for a single team. You can do that. The app homepage. So I'll show you now when I go ahead and build an app in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. The homepage of the app that you build comes with a layout. Microsoft calls it the hero layout, wherein It already has a few controls that are interconnected with each other and help you quickly get started with building an app. And I'll show you that experience shortly. And one of the key features, one of the top requested features is exporting and importing. Currently, there is no option. There is a hacky option, but there is no direct option available for you to export and import solutions or artifacts from Dataverse for Teams. However, these features are coming soon, extremely soon. One last thing before I head over to the demos is this was another big announcement at Ignite around Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, is around Azure API Management. So many a times in our Power Platform based solutions, we come across scenarios wherein we need to create custom connectors. And creating a custom connector does require a little bit of work, right? It does require some work. And when you build that connector, if you leverage that connector in your apps and flows, you have to pay a premium license cost. Immediately, everything becomes premium the moment you create a custom connector. However, now with Azure API Management, if you create your connectors and deploy them through Azure APIM, if you deploy them through Azure APIM and push them to your Microsoft Teams environments, which get created when you create your apps in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, if you do that, in that case, those custom connectors will be treated as standard connectors. That means you do not have to pay a premium license cost. However, is everything free? No, you're leveraging Azure API Management, so you will have to incur some Azure costs, but trust me, that is peanuts as compared to what you would pay in a premium licensing model scheme when you create custom connectors. So this was also one of the other announcements. It kind of went very low key, but I think it is an extremely powerful feature wherein you can leverage Azure APIM and call any custom connector of your choice. And you can use that as a standard connector in your apps, flows, and bots. Okay, enough said. I will head over now straight to the demo. For that, once again, I will need a few confirmations as I move my screens around. Let me try and switch a few things here. Okay, I got this, got my environments. Okay, let me know if you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, Reza, we can see the browser.
Perfect. Okay, so right now I am showing you my Microsoft Teams environment in a browser. The same experience will also work for Microsoft Teams in the client. So exactly the same experience. So right now I'm in Teams. I am in my browser experience. And of course, in Microsoft Teams, I can see all the teams I have access to. I can chat, I can have meetings, calls, and so on and so forth. Now, to get started with Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, the first thing you need to do is start creating an app, right? And how do I get started with that? Do I go to our typical experience of make.powerapps.com and start creating apps for Teams? No. If you go to make.powerapps.com, any apps that you create here are very specific to the environments that you have created for your tenant. This has nothing to do with Microsoft Teams. You can create apps and publish apps to Teams, right? You can create apps here. You can publish them to Teams. You can do that here. But when you do that, if you are using certain connectors, for example, if you're using the Common Data Service or Microsoft Dataverse, which is right here in this environment, all the users would need the premium license. So how do I go about then building my apps, keeping in mind that I want to use Microsoft Dataverse for Teams? If you would like to go ahead and do that, what you need to do is if you head over to apps, okay, just head over to apps and Teams and search for Power Apps. When you search for Power Apps, you will see an app that is available for you. It's called Power Apps. Reza, why do you see two Power Apps, Power Apps, Power Apps preview? That's because I am in private preview in this tenant. I have a special app where I can see the latest features. I can't show you that, so I will stick to this one. So this is what you would see. If you go to apps in Teams and you search you will get Power Apps. And all you have to do is just go to Power Apps and you will have an option called Add if you've never added it before. I have already added it. And what am I adding? I'm adding this app for my Microsoft Teams experience. It's like a personal app. When you add that, that app will show up on the left-hand navigation rail. It's right here. I'll recommend you to right click on this and pin it so you never lose it from the left-hand navigation rail. If you don't pin it, when you come back in your next user session, you will lose it and you'll have to search for it again. So do pin it. Why pin it? Because you would want to build a lot more apps. So on the left-hand navigation here, if I select Power Apps now, this will load the new Power Apps experience for Teams. Okay, so this is the Teams app for Power Apps, and this is where you would need to come in order for you to start building apps with Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. Now, as part of my Microsoft team, if I head over to Teams, right before this meeting, I actually created a team called Power Community. And it's just a standard Microsoft team, nothing special about it, nothing has happened in this yet. Now, out here in the Power Apps app in Microsoft Teams, straight away, there's an option called Create an App. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to start creating an app. So I will select Create an App. And the moment I click on Create an App, the first experience that opens up is to select a team. Why? Because this is Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. You're building apps purely for Teams. And this will list out all the Microsoft teams for which I am either an owner or I am a member. Okay, so this is the list of teams for me. And one of the teams right here, as you can see, should be the new team that I just created called Power Community. Now, the moment I pick this team, there is a message that opens up for me here. It says, you're the first person to be creating an app in this team. We'll need to do some setting up for you. So loading time will be longer than usual. If I pick another team, in this case, it does not give me that message purely because there already has been at least one app created for this specific team. Okay, so if it is the first time that you're creating an app in a team, you will get this message. And the reason why you get this message, and I just clicked on create, so it's starting to create what? It's starting to create that database. It's starting to create that environment. It's starting to do all the groundwork for me in the backend before I get the experience for creating the app. Once I do this for a team, I never have to do it again, purely because all of this is already being set up for me. Now, what is being set up? An environment is being set up. If I go to the Power Platform Admin Center right now, this is listing out all my environments in my tenant. And again, it depends on your depends on the role you're playing. I play the Power Platform admin role. And out here, if you notice, you have your standard environments, right? You have your default environments, your prod environments, dev environments. However, now you also get this new type of environment called Microsoft Teams, right? I've got this new environment type. And what is this? These are environments that get created when a user who is a member or an owner of a team creates an app for the first time in their team. Okay, and this is what creates the environment. And in that environment, you get that database, which is Dataverse or CDS, and you get that 2 GB capacity, and a maximum of 500 teams can have that environment, right? And once it goes through and spins off that environment, and look, it's gone ahead and done it. It's taken me to the app making experience. If I go back right here and if I just refresh the screen, I should now see a new environment come up for Power Community, and that's right here. So it just created this new environment for me. And that's the reason why now it's asking me that, yes, you're in, let's start building your app. So I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to call this my registration app. Use case, I'm building an app where users can register for training for the Power Platform. Simple use case. Okay, I'm trying to build something like that for my teams. So right here, all I've done is I'm still in the shell of Microsoft Teams. Look, I haven't left Teams. I'm using the Power Apps app in Teams. I just went ahead, created an app, gave my app a name. That's right here. Now what? Okay, now this is Power Apps. You have the full power. You have the full power of Power Apps right here in the context of Microsoft Teams, but you also get that database, right? And you can create tables in the database, and you can do that right here in the context of Power Apps. You can see that right here. I have the option of creating a new table. If I select this, it's asking me to enter a table name. So I'm going to call this registration, right? I'm going to create a table called registration. Notice I'm doing everything in the context of Microsoft Teams. I'm not even leaving Teams, right? And the moment I did this, it creates a table in my database, in my Teams environment called registration. And this table here just got created and I have name as the primary column right here. I can add additional columns, and this is like a grid view experience, similar to SharePoint, similar to Excel, right here in the context of Microsoft Teams. So I can create additional tables with rich data types. Remember, I told you CDS or Dataverse is rich in its data types. Look at the different data types that are available here. So in this case, let's say I want to say, okay, give me a name, give me the description, will be of type text. I'll create this column. And what is the category that you are registering for? I will pick choice, and maybe I'm providing two kinds of training, Power Apps training or Power Automate training. That's it. Those are the only two trainings I'm providing. That's about it. And of course, I can create many more columns. In the interest of time, I'm cutting short. So this is a table that I just created in my database. And this is Excel-like, so I can actually build things on the fly. So for example, Reza needs to learn Power Apps. So of course, I'm looking out for training on Power Apps. So I just created a record here on the fly in this table in Dataverse for Teams. And when I'm done with creating this experience, I can go and close this out. One extra thing I want to show here quickly is Dataverse for Teams is a relational database. Excel, SharePoint, these are not relational database systems. There are limitations in SharePoint. SharePoint is not meant for relational systems. So the point being, you can relate tables together and you can relate them in multiple ways. One is to many, many is to many, different kinds of relationships you can create. And right here, if I would like to create a one is to many relationship with a second table, if I had an additional table in this database, all I have to do is go and look up another table and create a relation between the two. So literally everything through a point and click GUI-like experience. In the interest of time, I'm just moving ahead. So here's a very simple table. I'll click on close. And when I do this, what's going to happen is it's just created the first table in my database. And now it should go ahead and start linking the app. But of course, it won't, because today is not a good demo day. So let me try this once again, very, very quickly. So I'm just going to give name and description. It says saved. I'm going to try and close this. Okay. So what happens is the table gets created. And once the table gets created, you get that table experience right here. And this gets interconnected for me. Now, you can keep adding more tables, of course. So I can keep adding tables to my database right here. And don't forget, this is Power Apps. You have the full feature set available, right? If I would like to add, right? If I were to add additional data sources, maybe I want to integrate with SharePoint. You can go to connectors and go to see all, and you have the full connector suite available right here. So if you have a requirement in which you want to talk to SharePoint, Office 365 users, OneDrive, whatever your use cases, all of those connectors are available here. You are not limited to the database, which is Dataverse for Teams. That is available as an option. You can integrate with other data sources as well. And this is the full feature set. If I go to add, I have the full capabilities right here of Power Apps. I can change the app. I can change the theme. I can change all those capabilities are available for you right here. And finally, when you're done with building the experience, in order for me to push this out to Teams, all I literally have to do is click on publish to Teams. Right? So this is going to save my app, publish my app. And once that is complete, I just got to click on next. And in order for me to add this to my team as a tab in Teams, all I literally have to do is it's going to list out all the channels in my team. I just have one channel. I just got to click on the plus icon, and that is it. That's it. So that's how easy it is to create tables, build the app, build this experience. And once you build this experience, this app is available for your users to leverage. There is no sharing, because remember, I spoke about the security, owners, members, and guests. There's no sharing of the app. The moment you publish the app, it's already shared. Shared with whom? Owners and members of your team and guest users of your team. Also in this app, Power Apps for Microsoft Teams, if you go to the Build tab, it will list out all the teams for which you've created artifacts, right? In my case, I have Power Community. So if I click on Power Community, this will list out all the artifacts that have been created here. So I have a Canvas app and a couple of tables that I created. Now, if I go to see all, this will list out everything that's created for this team. I can look at the apps. I can start building chatbots right here. I can even start building flows right here in the experience of Microsoft Teams. And all of these artifacts or solutions that I build right here in Microsoft for Teams is all using the standard licensing model. Needless to say, if in my app I connect to, for example, SQL, I have a requirement wherein I want to talk to SQL. SQL is a premium connector. If I use SQL, the app becomes premium, right? When will my app be standard licensing? As long as I use the standard connectors or I use the database that I created for my Microsoft team. As long as I live within that realm, everything here, apps, flows, and bots is available with standard Office licensing. So this was just about the setup. Now I'll quickly show you a couple of demos. I believe I only have 7 or 8 minutes. So I'll show you 2 quick demos of what I've built using Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. So in this case, I'm heading over to Teams. I'll go to a team called Playzone. And as part of this team, I'll show you one of the apps that I built. Literally took me 7 minutes to build this app, 7 minutes. I built a help desk app. So my users can come in and start creating tickets, right? And what I did, nothing. I just went, I created a couple of simple tables. And the moment I created that, I get this experience of a gallery and a connected form control. This is Power Apps. I just went in and added a few more things, an image, a title, very, very simple. So users can come in and create new tickets using a very simple form control in Power Apps. A very, very basic app experience. And where is all of this information being stored? All of this information is being stored in my database for my Microsoft team. On the other side, of course, this is the most simpler approach. On the other side here, I built an app for expense reporting, a very common use case in Teams, right? Expense reporting. I would like to provide an option for my users so they can go ahead and create expenses. Now, this is a Power App that I have built, of course, for Microsoft Teams. And as you can see that this app in action right here is showing me the mobile experience. Why? Because this app has not been built keeping responsive design in mind. So when I built this app, I did not leverage responsive design. Okay. Now I've gone ahead and shared my mobile device. The reason why I've done that is I want to show you something. So if I go to Microsoft Teams on my mobile app, and I'm assuming my screen is still being shared and you can see the mobile device, I have that same team here called Playzone. So I'll go to the General tab, go to More, and open up the expense reporting app right here. So the same app experience is available on my mobile device on Microsoft Teams as well, right? Now this app is open for users, members, owners, members, and guests, of course. Now, if I go ahead and create a new expense, I'm just going to click on plus. It's asking me for the expense name. Remember, this is Power Apps. I built all of these screens, very simple. I'm going to call this my Power Community. I can pick a start date. I can pick an end date. In the interest of time, I'll just go and click create. So I just created an expense, a brand new expense called Power Community. Remember, Dataverse or CDS is relational in nature. I've created a second table wherein users can create line items associated with their expenses, right? So one expense is related to multiple line items. I can have multiple receipts that I can add to this expense. So let's go ahead and add a line item right here. And in this, I have an option called upload receipt. That option that you see is of data type called image. If I select that, it will ask me to open my camera control or my photo gallery. Let me go ahead and open my camera control. Now, the moment I do this, this is a live picture that I'm taking right here. I have a fake receipt. I'm just going to go ahead and take a picture. Okay, so all I did right now is literally open my camera control and I took a picture live on the fly. When I click done, what this is going to do is this is going to go ahead and call Azure API M. Remember, I spoke about custom connectors. This at the back end now calls a custom connector to talk to Azure Cognitive Services. And one of the powerful features in Azure Cognitive Services is forms processing. Okay. And in there, you can train the model to read receipts. So this model is trained here to read receipts. And notice it's got the merchant name, the total, and the transaction date. These are not data that I filled in. It automatically picked it up for me. Everything here is happening using standard licensing. And I can go and pick a category and I can click on save. And just like that, I created an expense and related this, I created a line item and related it to my expense. I can even click on it and look at the picture I uploaded. Here's my expense. And of course, needless to say, I can go and keep adding more and more line items. And once the user adds all the details of the receipt, they can click on submit. And the moment they do that, the status of my expense goes to pending. And what do I do next? I start an approval process using Power Automate. So that's how you can leverage Power Apps in the context of Teams and leverage the powerful relational data capabilities that are provided. Now, I also mentioned that there are chatbots that you can build. So I even went ahead and built a bot called the expense reporting bot. So if the user wants to interact with this bot, so let's say I say hi, this chatbot is contextually aware of the logged in user. So it says, hi Reza, how are you doing? I'm a virtual agent. Expense details. I want to know about my expense details. Okay, great. What expense details do you want to know about? I want to know about all my expenses that are pending. Great. You would like to know about your pending expenses. Enter a dollar amount so they can search and see what the minimum price of the expense is. So I'm saying get me all my pending expenses greater than $10. And the moment I do that, the bot is going to go and scan my database and get me all those expenses where the expense report is greater than $10. And here's that expense that I just created on the fly called Power Community of $48.76. And as you can see, that expense is currently pending. It's gone out for approval. Of course, in the interest of time, I'll have to skip the approval process, but you can have the entire approval process built out as well in the context of Microsoft Teams. Okay, let me head back quickly to my presentation. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. All right, so that was the demo, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I actually had another very cool demo lined up. Maybe if anybody would like to stick around after the call, I'll be happy to do so. Okay, learning resources. There are some really, really good learning resources available. Nothing better than docs.microsoft.com. The slide deck will be shared later on, so please go and check these learning resources out. What I just showed you today, expense reporting, I've actually made that available for free. You can download that solution. I even have a video of how I built it from scratch on my YouTube channel. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to present. I hope I completed on time. If you would like to connect with me, these are my details, my Twitter handle, my YouTube channel. I'm very active on YouTube. I have a video a week that I put out. So if you would like to learn more about the Power Platform, then get connected to me. And thank you.
Thank you, Reza. There's one question in the chat if you would like to answer.
Yes, I will look through the chat. Okay, thanks, Reza, for the great session. Can Portal be integrated with Teams? Currently, the only option available here is Canvas apps, flows, and bots. Other things are coming. There are certain things I cannot disclose as an MVP, so I can't tell you. But I can tell you this much: there are more things coming. Portals. The answer right now is no. Please share the learning resources in chat. Of course. Why not? Let me go.
One question about that from Nimisha.
Yes. Yes, please.
That's about
sorry, I missed. Okay, sorry, I missed Nimisha's question. I'm so sorry. So the Dataverse of Team is different. How would it interface with Solution DB? Sorry, I didn't understand. What is Solution DB? Can you please elaborate? Maybe I didn't understand the acronym. Sure, you would like to go off mute and ask your question? Or maybe post it in the chat again.
Yeah, Nimisha, you can unmute yourself and ask the question if you want to.
So the question is, you have the DV of the teams, but then you have a separate Dataverse when you create solutions in the make portal, right? Makeapp.com. So let's say you have doing things over there, and then how are you going to interface? You know, I mean, you have connectors for Office 365 to get the users, stuff like that, but there's like data interface between the two?
Yep.
How do you do that?
So if you noticed when I was sharing my app or when I was building the app experience, I have the full data connector suite available right here as well. So I can integrate with any other service. However, if I was to talk to any Dataverse environment that I have created right here in Power Apps, in that case, that would make everything premium. And that's the reason why that is not exposed. So you cannot talk. So you cannot talk to tables in other environments. You are only restricted to your own environment when dealing with Dataverse in the context of Dataverse for Teams. However, there are connectors available for you to connect to other data sources, SharePoint, SQL, OneDrive. The full connector suite is available. However, you would have to be in the context of Teams for Dataverse.
I see. So then, for example, if you create a case in the Teams, then you have your own, D365 customer service. How are you going to interface the cases that somebody creates in the Teams to the cases?
Correct. And yeah. This is something that has been spoken about. I'll give you a hint. It's coming. There are more options coming. In fact, I even spoke about sophisticated security. One of them will be, so right now, anything I build in a team is living in a team. What if I want to share it with a user outside of my team, right? What if I have one app and I want 5 teams to use it? I would have to build it in 5 teams, right? Currently.
Yeah.
That's not the best experience. So the Microsoft team has thought about all of this, and
so the scope needs to change to either organization level and ability to, yeah.
And these things are coming. I can tell you all of this with pretty high confidence because I have seen some of these things. Some of these things are open. That's why I'm saying it. Some of these things are not. So I'll have to be a little tight-lipped. But I can tell you this much: good things are coming, and pretty soon.
I do see it. I'm very excited.
And for folks who are asking about the links, by the way, as I was talking through, I posted everything in the chat window. Okay, there are still more questions. There's a question from Abhishek. What about deployment once created Power App for Microsoft Teams? Great question. When you created for Microsoft Teams, so right now, if I go to Power Apps and if I head over to the Build tab, whatever I create is in that team, right? It's stuck in that team. How do I deploy this? How do I take this out? Right now, when I build it in Teams, look, Teams doesn't have environments, right? You can't have a test team environment, a dev team environment, a prod. You cannot do that. A team is a team, right? Yeah, you can create 3 teams and call it test, dev, and prod, but that doesn't make sense. So firstly, it's a team. It's one environment. One and only one environment is what you get per team. You cannot create additional environments. That's number one. Number 2, you mentioned about deployment. I'm assuming this is more around how do I publish the app? That is literally one click and the app is available as a tab in Microsoft Teams. So as you saw, when I go to Teams, if I click on my video library, this will show me an app that I built for videos. If I click on Power Quiz, this was the cool app I wanted to show you actually. An app where I can actually run quizzes on and a responsive app, by the way. Now that I get the chance to show it, let me show off a little. So the point being that all of these tabs that you see here, I deployed it by literally just clicking on publish when I built the app. That's all I had to do. Now, if you're talking about I built something really cool in one team and I would like to use that template in other teams, right? That is export import. Today, that is not available. It is already being called out that they're working on it. I am a part of the private preview. I've seen it. It works well. It's coming. It's coming wherein you can export everything and make it available as a package, and other users in your tenant can pick that package and add it to their own teams. So that is coming soon. In fact, if I go to Power Apps again, and if this loads up in time, come on. And Microsoft Dataverse for Team needs to speed up on its performance as well. All right, any other questions while this opens up? Okay, I don't see any other questions. And I spoke about templates, right? You creating your own templates. Microsoft has come up with 3 templates of their own: employee ideas, inspection, and issue reporting. If you create, and if you literally just pick this template and add it to your team, this template comes with a lot of artifacts. It comes with tables, it comes with interrelated flows, It comes with apps. All of those things would be deployed in one go. So right now, these templates are specific to Microsoft. However, very soon with import export coming in, you can create your own templates and put it in Teams. So other team members in your tenant can pick it up. In fact, long-term plans are you can even sell it in the app stores. Any other questions?
That's cool. Thank you so much, Reza. I think, yeah, there are no more questions. Yeah, and like you said, good things are coming. So we hope 2021 will bring a lot of good stuff.
Yes, who does not want 2020 to end? Raise your hands.
Yeah, well, two hands.
Yeah, we need this year to end soon.
So thank you so much, Reza. Thank you so much, guys, for attending the session. What you can do now is I have shared a link. You can join the closing session and have question and answers there.
Where is the link to the closing session? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Not a problem. I have put that in the chat. I'll try to paste it now. So that's the link over there. It's just Teams invite, so you can come over here and listen to the remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Thank you
a lot. Thank you so much.